What's up, guys? It's Kelly. Sorry I took like a little break without telling any of you. My mental state was not the best, so I decided to take a little break. But now I am back, and I am actually back with another murder case. Riley Ann Sawyers was born March 11th of 2005 in Menor, Ohio, which, fun fact, is only an hour and a half away from where I live. She's the daughter of Robert Sawyers and Lee Trenner. Robert and Kimberly attended Menor High School, and Kimberly got pregnant with Riley at the age of 15, and Robert dropped out of high school his junior year. Trenner didn't live with her family. She lived with the Sawyers, so she lived with Robert, and they lived with his mother, Cheryl, who was Riley's primary caregiver. Riley's parents grew apart as a couple, so they were no longer together, but still lived in the same household together, which obviously kind of makes sense with Kimberly not living with family, so I don't know how that worked. But Robert began dating a woman named Catherine Priester, which I think I'm pronouncing that right. Don't quote me on that. Whom he later married. In October 2006, alleging physical abuse and having filed a domestic violence charge against Trenner. So Kimberly got a domestic charge, dude. All right. So Robert ended up moving out, or I think he moved out. Not positive. They didn't really say that. All he says is that he left. In May of 2007, Kimberly and Riley moved to Spring, Texas. Kimberly married Royce Clyde Ziegler Jr. on June 1st of 2007. They met by playing World of Warcraft, which her former husband had shown her, and she dedicated more time to World of Warcraft. That's okay. Royce believed that Riley should have been disciplined to say sir and ma'am to adults, as well as please and thank you. I get the point, but she was also 2 years old. 2-year-olds, a lot of them don't say please, a lot of them don't say thank you unless forced to say so. And that corporal punishment was the best means of disciplining her child. Believing that Kimberly was not properly administrating the beatings, Royce did it himself. Kimberly admitted on July 24th, 2007, that she and Royce beat Riley with 2 leather belts and held her head underwater in the bathtub. Kimberly also stated that Royce picked Riley up by her hair and threw her across the room, hitting her head off the tile floor. Riley was unable to stand up when ordered to do so. And quote Kimberly saying she didn't have control of her legs, unquote. Riley also tried to hinder the beating by saying I love you to her mother. So she tried to stop the beatings. This 2-year-old tried to pretty much like get away from her mother from beating her, but I got disciplined. I got spanked as a child. But what this little girl went through was literally not just spanking. She got thrown across the room by her hair. 2 years old. But Kimberly maintained that the death was accidental and was a case of discipline that went too far. When they realized Riley was dead, Kimberly and Royce went to Walmart and bought a plastic storage container. They wrapped Riley up in 3 trash bags and placed her in said container. They kept her in a shed for about 2 months before dumping her into the Galveston Bay, which is, they threw her off of a bridge near a highway. How did you not get caught? It was near a highway. Anyway, Kimberly forged legal documents and attempted as an attempt to conceal the murders. Like, these documents cited that Riley had been removed from her care and her custody due to sexual abuse he claimed that Royce forced her to do. Riley's body was discovered in the Galveston Bay by a fisherman on October 29th of 2007. A coroner discovered that 3 skull fractures on the body. Then the case proceeded as a homicide case. 3 skull fractures on a 2-year-old. Yeah, that impact. And plus, by this little girl being thrown by her hair across the room, then smacking her head off the tile floor and getting 3 skull fractures, that is a slow, painful death. Like, it's very slow and very painful. She couldn't stand up when told to do so. She couldn't have control of her legs. She was completely screwed. And as a 2-year-old, I don't understand how a mother could do that to her own child. That drives me insane. Like, there are people out here that cannot have children, and yet there's people out here murdering their children and abusing them completely, and abusing them to the point where they are murdering them. And it's just driving me insane. Like, when I found this case, I wanted to literally bawl my eyes out. I actually did a couple times. My heart is seriously broken for this little girl. And the extent of her injuries was described as being thrown off of a roof. Ow. After police were unable to identify the remains of Riley, they got a forensic artist by the name of Lois Gibson to sketch of what she would look like if she was living. The unidentified body was nicknamed Baby Grace. Instead of calling her Jane Doe or anything, her nickname was Baby Grace. After seeing the sketch, Cheryl Sawyers reported the sketch resembled Riley. She discovered the sketch online, and she made connection between the cases. DNA testing later proved that Baby Grace was Riley Sawyers. This is where it gets really iffy and really sketchy really quick. This is where the trials come in, because obviously Baby Grace is now Riley Sawyers. We found out that it is Riley Sawyers. Cheryl is the one who got that to happen. And so now the trials will come together. Shortly before Thanksgiving in 2007, Royce attempted suicide. He tried overdosing on blood pressure meds and antidepressants. Prescribed antidepressants, mind you. He left a suicide note stating, "My wife is innocent of the crimes I committed." But, there is a but. He later said during the trials, that he was in another room when Riley died. Following the arrests, the pair were held at separate bonds of $350,000, which each. They initially been charged with injury of a child and tampering with evidence. Kimberly's trial had been delayed because she ended up becoming pregnant, and it was postponed until after her birth in January of 2009. Kimberly was convicted of capital murder on February 2nd, 2009, and was sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole. Good. Royce was charged with capital murder and evidence tampering on November 2nd of 2009. He was convicted and received an automatic life sentence without possibility of parole. And the sentence was only automatic due to the state did not seek the death penalty. On January 14th, 2008, the cremated remains of Riley were turned over to family in Ohio after the Texas judge ruled that evidence collected during the autopsy would be sufficient for trial. Cheryl Sawyer's place of employment actually had a fundraiser, so I'm like, it's kind of like a GoFundMe, but kind of not, but to have a proper burial for Riley. And then a ceremony for Riley took place in a Menor cemetery. But my thoughts on that entire thing was, that's very gruesome. Like, how could a mother of all people do that to a child? But within my research, I left some things out in case you guys wanted to be into the cases as I am too. I found an FBI Criminal Pursuits episode. I never even knew that was a TV show. But yeah, it hit me really hard. And criminal cases like this, I don't know. I don't know how I'm into criminal cases like this. I don't even know how I like to even learn about criminal cases or anything like that. But it's always been a fascination of mine, and for some reason, like, this drew me, and I figured I had to make a video on it. I had so many thoughts running through my head. So, but let me know down in the comments what you thought of this case, and I'll reply. And if you guys have any cases you want me to cover, link them down below, or DM me on Instagram or Twitter. I will definitely take any requests on anything. And yeah, so if you like this video, go ahead and hit like, smash that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, that way you never miss a post, and I'll see you guys in the next one.